Traveling through the world of Hokage, the ghost lamp Ten Musashi with unlimited chakras became the strongest ninja sword in Mist-Hidden Village. Shizong joined the Shao organization and awakened the Super Duozidwafu system. As long as you have offspring of wives and concubines, you can receive rewards. The more offspring you have, the richer the reward. If you are a Tauren, the reward will be doubled. I, who have the legacy of Prime Minister Chao, am full of vitality. Team up with the beautiful little Nanjia to arrest the Red Sand Scorpion in Shain Village, and rescue Xiangli and his wife Zenyumiai on the way. Succeeded in taking a concubine and received a reward, Flying Thunder God. Let Xiaonan successfully conceive, receive rewards, and write a kaleidoscope will I. Sneaking into the leaves of wood and stealing the red sun, the Nine Tails Rebellion takes away the Nine Zinais take the future water shadow of Wuyin Village to shine on the beautiful world, and cut off the Hu Mei Qin on the night of extermination. You must take good care of our little fragrant phosphorus, said Mayumi. Xiaonan said, I didn't expect you to be quite reliable. Let me rely on you too. With more and more wives and concubines, without realizing it, Abayu has become the pinnacle of the Hokage world. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 1. Arrest the Scorpion of Red Sand and cut off the fragrant phosphorus, new book seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You're still sleeping, get up. Upon hearing the sound, Shizong opened his eyes and saw Xiaonan frowning and staring at him. Oh, Miss Xiaonan. Have you finished the meeting? Shizong stood up and glanced up and down at Xiaonan. For some reason, Shizong's gaze made Xiaonan suddenly feel a bit uncomfortable. She surprisingly felt a little shy. Fortunately, Shizong immediately averted his gaze. By the way, where are we going next? We need to take on more tasks and accumulate more funds, right? Shizong smiled and changed the topic. You come with me. Ah. Me. Where are we going? Shizong pointed at himself in shock. I thought to myself that Xiaonan has always followed Pain's heavenly way in action. Why are you following her now instead? I'm going to the Wind Country to recruit a member. Xiaonan didn't hide anything and revealed the destination of their trip. Oh. Under the 10 hidden hearts, I suddenly realized. If you go to the Wind Country to recruit members, then this member must be the Scorpion of Red Sand. So where is the guy from Yuzhibo with the soil now? Shizong silently thought in his heart. Looking up, I saw Xiaonan's fair and tender profile facing me perfectly. At that moment, Shizong's spirit was a bit dazed, truly experiencing the innate beauty of Xiaonan. Forget it. Shizong immediately restrained his mind. Anyway, it's better to find a way to take Xiaonan down first. He has made a decision. First deceive Xiaonan, no, attract him and you can also receive rewards from the system. Miss Xiaonan, wait for me. The country of wind is filled with rolling yellow sand. This seems like a forbidden zone of life, with sandstorms raging. How much longer will it take to reach the kingdom of the wind, Miss Xiaonan? Shizong drank the little water left in the bottle with a straw and asked weakly. And Xiaonan walked ahead without saying a word. She can't stand the desert ghost weather in this windy country anymore. Not only are my clothes covered in dirt and dust, but my skin is also covered in sticky dust. Seeing Xiaonan remain silent, Shizong's heart twitched slightly. Water escape. The art of sunshade umbrella. Shizong directly used the technique of escaping the great waterfall. Xiaonan seemed surprised by the name of his ninjutsu and looked back at Shizo in astonishment. At this moment, a splash of water shot into the sky through Shizong's palm. A water curtain resembling an umbrella formed above their heads. This water curtain is constantly falling, which can block the sun and block the dust and sand outside. Shizong finally controls his own chakra flow, turning the waterfall into a trickle. Seeing Shizong's cleverness, Xiaonan finally showed a gentle smile. There is still a considerable distance to go, be careful not to exhaust your own chakra. Although he said so, Xiaonan was already overjoyed in his heart. I don't know, Miss Nan. I have a lot of chakras. Shizong laughed, he didn't lie. The newbie gift package I received from the system yesterday was an unlimited chakra. Even if it collides with Shaitan Law between Qi and Shizu, it is still on par. Upon hearing Shizong's words, Xiaonan looked at him again in surprise. I have always heard that there are many ninjas in Misty Hidden Village who are born with a huge chakra capacity. That's it. Shizong proudly raised his chin. Watching his proud and bumpy appearance, Xianengwen smiled and shook his head. This kid is handsome and cute, but he also has a good personality. But at this moment, Xiaonan suddenly paused. I looked straight at the center of the desert. What's wrong, Miss Nan? Shizong immediately became alert and he saw something wrong in her eyes. Following Xiaonan's gaze, I happened to see a faint figure. What kind of person is that guy? He looked left and right. There is no village in front of or store behind here, and suddenly a person appears very suspicious. Be careful, Shizong. Xiaonan let out a deep reminder and silently felt a handful of bitterness. Gradually, they saw the guy's face clearly. He is a boy with short red hair who looks around 10 years old. The red sand scorpion, who was traveling alone in the sandstorm, also discovered Xiaonan and Shizong. This guy. Shizong saw the boy's face clearly and his eyebrows furrowed instantly. Isn't this the scorpion of red sand? He thought in surprise, thinking to himself that it would happen again. This is the target we are looking for. Xiaonan clearly had intelligence on the red sand scorpion in his hand, so he also recognized the other party at a glance. You don't look like people from the Wind Country. The red sand scorpion quickly arrived in front of Xiaonan and Shizong, smiling at them and saying. Actually, he is ready to take action. Driving through this yellow sand is not for fun, but to find suitable materials. We are an organization called Xiao, inviting you to join our team. Xiaonan didn't have any nonsense, he came straight to the point. Now it's the turn of the red sand scorpion to freeze. I didn't expect that the target I was targeting was also coming to find me. It seems that you know me. His gaze shifted from looking at Shizong's face and landed on Xiaonan's face. I'm not interested. Let me use art to help you become eternal and immortal beings. After speaking, the scorpion of red sand's eyes suddenly turned cold. Be careful. Little Nanjie. Shizong realized something was wrong and immediately pushed Xiaonan away. I swung my severed head sword and charged straight towards the red sand scorpion. Xiaonan, who was pushed away, didn't expect Shizong to be so brave to protect himself. She looked at the unstoppable figure in shock, and then her eyes gave a slight chill. At this moment, a large amount of white paper flew out of her body. At this moment, countless poisonous needles shot out from the mechanism of the red sand scorpion. Poo. Xiaonan created a paper wall to protect Shizong, which was almost instantly destroyed. At the same time, the red sand scorpion also transformed into the form of Fei Liuhu. The metal scorpion's tail pierced like lightning and flew towards Xiaonan. Xiaonan, be careful. Upon seeing this scene, Shizong immediately shouted a warning and flew backwards in an attempt to rescue Xiaonan. Take care of yourself first. Xiaonan furrowed his brow, and paper grew on his back. His wings leapt back and flew into the sky. And the 10 treasures still on the ground naturally became the next target of the red sand scorpion. First, get rid of one. The metal scorpion tail spike had already turned in mid-air and flew towards Shizo at a faster speed. And in an instant, it pierced through Tenzo's body. Pushi. Watching Shizong being penetrated by his opponent's attack, Xiaonan's pupils slightly narrowed. 10 treasures. She frowned and let out a low shout, raising her hand to throw a piece of kuwu bound with a large number of detonating symbols at the red sand scorpion. But at this moment, Shizo looked down at his chest as if nothing had happened. Later on, his head turned 180 degrees and his body shifted back and forth. Damn it. Hey, do you know this is very impolite? Roaming and rumbling. Shizong's unpleasant words had just been finished, and the red sand scorpion had been hit hard by the detonating talisman thrown by Xiaonan. Did you take it down? Xiaonan's gaze sank and he cautiously descended slowly to the ground, landing beside Shizong. At the same time, she looked at Shizo's body in disbelief. Did you use the technique of hydration to avoid deadly attacks? However, just as Xiaonan finished talking to himself, the red sand scorpion in the form of Fei Liuhu appeared intact before the two of them. You two guys, you're bothering me. Next, I want you to look good. The red sand scorpion angrily spoke and launched a counterattack against Xiaonan and Shizong. A large number of hidden weapons flew towards them. Shining dagger, kuwu, meteor hammer, poison dart, water escape. Big bang water rush. Without saying a word, Shizong launched a counterattack, and the surging chakra rushed out in an instant, forming a super-large waterfall impact. The huge water flow surged and rushed towards the opponent, rolling and crushing them. The red sand scorpion's pupils tightened fiercely, and it flew backwards in disbelief. But his speed is still too slow. Tensang's explosive water rushed over in an instant, and at the same time, it swallowed up the red sand scorpion in the form of Fei Liuhu. Roaming and rumbling. Hundreds or even thousands of tons of water flow past by, causing the earth to roll and tremble. The enemy had long disappeared from sight and was submerged in this seemingly torrential water escape ninjutsu. Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiaonan was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth. Shizong's water escape ninjutsu, I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Is he the chakra monster? Xiaonan turned his head in disbelief and looked at Shizong. At this moment, the latter is still holding the seal and using the technique of water dungeon. But what Shizong didn't expect was that at this moment, a large number of flames suddenly burst into flames from the water and soared into the sky. The blazing flames quickly evaporated his escape. This guy is really difficult to deal with, Xiaonan, be careful. Leave this to me. You go to the sky to watch the battle. Shizong loudly reminded him to immediately use Shui Dun again to resist the counterattack of the red sand scorpion. Xiaonan was speechless for a moment. Surprisingly, I was protected by a newcomer. The power of the red sand scorpion exceeded the estimates of Xiaonan and Shizong. After 3 hours of fierce fighting, it was Shizong, who controlled the infinite chakra, who ultimately won the victory. But it's not easy either. This guy has finally been knocked down. Shizong looked at the damp red sand scorpion and calmly exhaled a long breath. By the way, are you okay, Miss Nan? Thinking of something, Shizong quickly turned around to check on Xiaonan's injury. Not surprisingly, she was injured. The left arm was scratched by the sickle used by the puppet, and blood flowed profusely. First, subdue that guy. I'm fine. Xiaonan reminded Shizong with lingering fear, watching as a deep surprise flashed through his gaze. Upon hearing this, Shizong turned around and threw a water dungeon technique towards the red sand scorpion. Don't worry, he definitely can't run now. Xiaonan, you're injured quite badly. Let me bandage it for you. Shizong took out his medical bag from his ninja bag with concern and began wrapping it up for Xiaonan. Do you still know how to bandage the wound? Xiaonan looked at Shizong, who had bandaged his wound, and felt an inexplicable warmth for the first time. I never expected that I would be saved by Shizong today. What's even more unexpected is that this seemingly cynical newcomer is so impressive. His chakra capacity is probably more than that of the Longmen who have the bloodline of the Whirlpool clan. Xiaonan looked at Shizong's perfect profile and silently thought to himself. Alright, the wound won't bleed anymore now. Shizong looked up and saw Xiaonan staring blankly at him, lost in thought. He blinked his big eyes. What's wrong? No, it's nothing. Xiaonan regained his senses and awkwardly withdrew his gaze. Stand up calmly and look at the red sand scorpion, who is restrained and unable to move. Our leader has invited us to come over and invite you to join our Shao organization. If you don't want to, you'll have to be killed here. She approached the red sand scorpion and looked down at him with an indifferent expression. Hee, Zhao's organization seems a bit interesting. Since that's the case, I'll play with you all. The red sand scorpion calculated in his heart. Believing that this may help oneself achieve the goal of creating eternal art more easily. So he nodded and agreed. The process of retreating from the Wind Country was not smooth for Shizong and Xiaonan. Because the red sand scorpion not only stealthily attacked and killed the 3 generations of Wind Shadow. He also kidnapped multiple ninjas in the village and made them into human puppets. So Sha'in village has been chasing and killing the red sand scorpion. In order to avoid exposing the organization, Shizong and others did not choose to engage in combat with the enemy. After arriving at the border of the Wind Country, they entered the neighboring river country, intending to take a detour and return to the Rain Country. Xiaonan, you two should retreat first. I'll take care of the traces of the escape just now, so that they don't catch up again. Considering that the enemy could not discover their stronghold, Xiaonan agreed. Be careful yourself. She cautioned with concern. Don't worry. Shizong waved his hand and disappeared in a flash. After dealing with the traces left by them, Shizong just planned to catch up with the 2 of Xiaonan. But at this moment, I heard faint sounds of fighting coming from the forest ahead. Did Xiaonan and his team encounter the enemy? Tenzong was curious in his heart and quietly approached to observe. It was discovered that it was not Xiaonan and the red sand scorpion who were being pursued by the enemy, but rather a group of warriors chasing a strange woman. Shizong's gaze was immediately drawn, locking onto the woman. The reason why that woman caught Shizong's attention was because she had a head of fiery red long hair. Despite being soaked in blood, the combat effectiveness is still astonishing. Unfortunately, this young woman cannot match her 4 fists with 2 fists. Faced with the siege of at least 20 warriors skilled in using chakra combined with swordsmanship, she quickly fell into a dangerous situation. At the critical moment, Shizo took action. He didn't have any nonsense and jumped out to attack the group of warriors, calculating without intention, and quickly resolved the battle with Tenzo. Are you okay? Shizong turned around and realized that the red-haired woman in front of him was actually holding her belly, clearly pregnant. At this moment, she was vigilantly observing Shizong. We have started to activate our own chakra, and the wound on our body is recovering at a visible speed to the naked eye. 2. Pick up a pair of beautiful women for free, and add the Flying Thunder God, new book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This scene moved Shizong's heart. Red long hair, coupled with the ability to quickly recover from injuries using chakra. So she's from the Whirlpool clan. If I remember correctly, the Kingdom of Vortex has been destroyed, and the Vortex clan has been completely killed and injured, with the remaining members scattered in all directions. Pregnant women, young women, homeless. Is it okay for oneself? Tenzang's thoughts became fanciful. Thank you very much for saving me. Women are still vigilant. Shizong's gaze made her feel uneasy. My name is Shizong, why are they chasing you? Shizong regained his senses and asked. After a moment, he had already understood the ins and outs. A woman is called Mizumo Mayumi and is indeed a member of the Mizumo clan. For this reason, the group of warriors planned to arrest her. She originally had a husband, but she was already killed by another enemy during her escape. Even the body was stolen and its whereabouts are unknown. This is not surprising at all, as the Whirlpool clan has a unique physique. He also possesses various super sealing techniques, which are well known in the world of ninja. Countless people want to gain the power within them. I'm afraid this is also an important reason for the downfall of their family. But what really surprised Shirzong was the child in Mayumi's belly. Surprisingly, I have already chosen a name. Xiang Phosphorus. The members of the Whirlpool clan are naturally chakras, many of whom are innate perceptual ninjas. It is normal for Mayumi to perceive the gender of the child in her belly and give her a name in advance. So, is it the fragrant phosphorus that one thinks of? Shirzong turned his eyes and stared at the vortex for a long time. He saw that the other person's scalp was tingling and he lowered his head in embarrassment before speaking. Let's not talk about this for now. What do you plan to do in the future? Shirzong looked at the belly of Mayumi. After all, I am the only one left, and now I have to face the upcoming baby. Upon being asked such a question by Shirzong, Yume was stunned and didn't know how to answer it for a moment. I don't know. Let's take a closer look. She shook her head. Why don't you just follow me? To be honest, Mayumi's appearance is very impressive. At a height of 1.7 meters and around the age of 20.4 or 5, the figure is very perfect. It also belongs to the rare category. Ah. Zenyumi thought she didn't hear clearly and looked up at Shirzong in surprise. The latter also ignored her reaction. I will find a safe place for you to settle down, follow me from now on. I will be responsible for taking care of you. After he finished speaking, he looked at Mayumi's belly again. As long as Yume agrees, you should be able to receive system rewards now, right? Shirzong thought eagerly in his heart. After all, women and children are ready-made, and there is no psychological pressure for Shirzong to say these words. If you have to blame it, you can only blame the Duozidwafu system. Vortex Mayumi thought carefully and realized that being alone at the moment was too dangerous. Who made the identity characteristics of their Vortex clan members too obvious? Since we have to face the entire dangerous realm of tolerance, we may encounter life-threatening situations at any time. And after the child is born, it is indeed necessary to find a place to settle down. You can't let Xiaoxianglin continue to live this kind of life with himself, can you? Mayumi secretly glanced at Shizo again. The man in front of me is quite handsome and doesn't look like a bad person. I should be able to take care of my mother and daughter. So if you agree to his words, you won't be at a disadvantage. After some psychological confrontation, Mayumi nodded lightly, feeling a bit embarrassed. Ding! Congratulations on getting your first child. You have received a large offspring gift pack. Please check it in your backpack. As Mayumi agreed to Tenzo, the system prompt sound immediately rang in her ear. And Shizo subconsciously opened his system backpack in his mind. Sure enough, I found a large gift package for my offspring inside. Shining with golden light and moving brilliance. Focus on the gift package and immediately display the relevant description. Great gift package for descendants. After opening, randomly obtain items such as abilities and ninjutsu secrets. It's a random gift package that doesn't know what reward will be offered. Shirzong didn't think much and directly ordered to use it. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the new ability, Flying Thunder God's Art Secret Scripts. Congratulations, Pregnancy Card, *1. Using this item can make the target pregnant with the host's child. Please check in the system backpack. The secret script of Flying Thunder God's technique. Looking at the flashing screen prompt messages floating in front of me, as well as the system prompt sound still echoing in my mind. In an instant, Tensong became excited. That's the art of the Flying Thunder God. One of the famous stunts of the 4th generation Hokage Wave Fengshui Gate. In an instant, you can instantly kill 50 super powerful moves by Yeni Murakami Ninja. Having learned this move, whether it's killing people, setting fire to homes, or traveling, it's very convenient and fast. Excited, Shizong immediately opened his system backpack again. Sure enough, I saw a sparkling secret book inside. Flying Thunder God's Technique Secret Script. After use, you can automatically learn the technique of Flying Thunder God, one section. Seeing the description of Shizong's smile narrowed a bit. Is it just a paragraph? It seems that it is not a complete technique of the Flying Thunder God. However, even if it is not a perfect Flying Thunder God technique, it is still very powerful. It can also achieve instant transfer to distant places. Tensung didn't even think about it, so he chose to study directly. Having obtained the Flying Thunder God, Shizong returned to his senses and came to see Xiang Zenyumei, only to find that she was also secretly scrutinizing him. The agile gaze looked both expectant and bewildered. She is still waiting for Shizong to make arrangements for herself. Such a seasoned and top-notch wife, it seems that when she arrives, she still needs to use the conception card with Mayumi. Let's go, I'll take you to a safe place now. Coincidentally, I also plan to try out the effect of the Flying Thunder God. Tensung then pulled up Zenyumei and disappeared without saying a word. 3. After settling down, return to the headquarters to collect the new book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With Mayumi, Shizo, and she returned to the misty hidden village of the Water Kingdom. In the territory of the Ghost Lantern clan. This is a sparsely populated seclusion located outside Wuyin village. The once prosperous Ghost Lamp clan has rapidly declined due to the Blood Mist policy. Most of the tribe members either suffered disasters or lived far away from the village. The rest are mostly elderly, weak, women, and children, still guarding the family business of the former Ghost Lantern clan. And Shizong's own home is among them, a single door and courtyard building. In the future, you can temporarily live here. Don't worry, it will be very safe here and no one will disturb you again. Shizong said to Mayumi. Uchiha takes control of the fourth-generation Mizukage Yakura with his land and implements the Blood Mist policy, in addition to seeking revenge for Noera Rin. In addition, it is to weaken the strength of the entire Fog-Hidden Village. Weakening the strength of Wuyin Village is just the beginning, and the other ninja villages will not be spared in the future. This will facilitate him in carrying out the plan mentioned by Uchiha Daitu. So when the Blood Mist policy is implemented, the families that initially suffered were those with the power of bloodline inheritance. Then comes the family that masters the secret arts, and the Ghost Lamp family is one of them. Nowadays, the Ghost Lamp clan that has been cleaned is no longer a threat to Yuzhibo's soil. At present, the ninjas in Wuyin village don't have much leisure time to come here. So this is safe. Aren't you staying? Upon hearing Shizong's instructions, Mayumi hesitated. She only found out now that Shizong was from the land of water. I thought this man would stay and live with me, but I didn't expect him to leave now. There are still things to deal with outside. Don't worry, I will come back to see you every now and then. Shizong didn't say much. Be careful outside yourself, Xiaoxiangli and I will wait for you to come back. From the moment when Tensung took action to instantly kill those warriors and save himself. True beauty knows that the man in front of her is not simple. She is very sensible and doesn't ask much. Just gave a warning to Shizong. After all, I just got to know each other, and my daughter's family still needs some time to adapt to this series of changes. Shizong won't stay for the time being, but Mayumi can feel more relaxed. Take care. You take this. If you encounter danger, trigger this mark with chakra and I will rush over. Shizong handed to Mayumi a painless painting of the Flying Thunder God technique. This is one of the benefits of the Flying Thunder God, as the spells are permanently engraved and have a similar reverse teleportation effect. At the same time, this is also one of the essence of time-space ninjutsu like the Flying Thunder God. Use the chakra induction technique and then move instantly from a long distance. After finishing these, Shizong left the land of the Ghost Lamp clan. He still needs to hurry back and meet up with Xiaonan and others. If time is dragged on for too long, it will cause them to worry or even doubt. With the power of the Flying Thunder God's technique, Tenzou quickly caught up with the Red Sand Scorpion in Xiaonan. After meeting the two, Shizong briefly recounted the prepared words, and Xiaonan and the Red Sand Scorpion did not have any doubts. After multiple disguises and detours, the three of them finally successfully entered the territory of Rain Country. Returning to headquarters, Xiaonan and Shizong, as well as Red Sand Scorpion, have not yet heated up their buttocks. Pain Tiandao has also returned with Orochimaru and Kadoku. Seeing that they actually invited Orochimaru, Shizo was a bit surprised. But because he saw the appearance of Orochimaru, he directly confirmed one thing. That is to say, Mai is still peaceful now. Wufeng Shuemen and Orochimaru, as well as Uchiha Fuyue, are competing for the position of the fourth-generation Hokage. Undoubtedly, Wufeng Shuemen was one-sided and ultimately won the title of inheritor of the three generations of Hokage. The election for Huiying failed, and my teacher did not support me. In addition, the secret human experiment in Kiba village was discovered, and Orochimaru had to flee from Kiba. And later joined the Shao organization. From the current situation, it appears that Bo Fengshui Gate is about to succeed or has just taken over the position of the fourth-generation Hokage. So Yuji-Bo and Tu have not officially launched the Nine Tails Rebellion yet. It seems that my opportunity is still there. Shizong's heart became excited. Vortex 9 Shina and Naruto, this time they are determined to win. Let's see what kind of opportunity we can find to sneak away from the wooden leaves. 4. Grouping completed, Destined Little Nanjia, New Book Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Shizong was daydreaming, Xiaonan pulled Pain Tiandao to the secret room and said a few words. She told Pain Tiandao in detail about the battle that occurred in the Wind Country. Fully described the outstanding combat performance of Shizong and the Red Sand Scorpion. After listening to Xiaonan's words, Pain Tiandao turned his head in surprise and glanced at Shizong. So should we make him a formal member? Xiaonan asked. Not necessary for now. Before Pain Tiandao could respond, a voice rang out beside them. Xiaonan looked up in surprise at Yuji-Bo Daitu who appeared. What do you have in mind, Ban? Pain Tiandao asked. Guideng Shizong has not yet passed the real test, and he does not have the qualifications to become a core member. The positions of the core members are temporarily reserved, and I have identified more suitable candidates. Yuji-Bo did not explain too much with the soil. In fact, he was just worried, or more precisely, on guard. The members of the Ghost Lantern clan were once cleansed by the Blood Mist policy. After leaving the village, Shizong joined the Shao organization, although there is no evidence to prove that this kid knows his secret. But suspicion gives rise to dark ghosts, and every time he sees Shizong, it always makes him feel that Shizong seems to have ulterior motives. So, in recent times, Dai Tu has been intentionally or unintentionally guarding against the 10 treasures. Not afraid of 10,000, just afraid of the unexpected. Upon hearing Daitu's words, Xiaonan and Pain Tiandao did not continue to inquire. After all, this is the man who truly controls everything behind the scenes in the Shao organization. By the way, send a team to Kiba. This operation is top secret, you two should not reveal it to anyone else. Yuji-Bo spoke with soil, his voice lowered. 3 days suddenly passed by. Over the past 3 days, Shao organized a simple training session for the newly joined Big Snake Maru and Red Sand Scorpion internally. At the same time, it also gave them time to handle their own affairs. Of course, Tenzang doesn't pay attention to these trivial matters. In these days, besides taking some time to visit Mayumi, he has spent the most time with Xiaonan. At this moment, he is sharing his specially made breakfast with Xiaonan. But before Xiaonan could finish eating, he received Pain's order to convene a meeting of all members. It can only be said that Pain knows how to be a leader. In the secret room, after all the personnel arrived, Pain Tiandao looked at the two new members and said, "You should have already familiarized yourself with each other. Since that's the case, let's reorganize and facilitate the next action." Their strength has reached the standard of becoming core members. With the addition of intelligence and a thorough understanding, each one is a heinous presence in their own ninja village. It is truly a true S-level rebellion. Whether in the past or present, it is renowned. Orochimaru, starting from today, your code name for the organization at Shao is empty. Pain said, then turned his head to look at the scorpion of red sand. Your code name is you. What about mine, leader? Shirzong couldn't help but ask when he saw Orochimaru and Red Sand Scorpion. There's no way, you always have to pretend. It's impossible for you to have joined the Shao organization and become a salted fish without any desires or demands. It's strange that such a young man with strong blood and energy should come straight into the Shao organization and lie flat, without arousing suspicion from others. From today on, you will be a senior member of the Shao organization, Shirzong. Upon hearing this, Pain Tiandao looked over to Shirzong. Now is the time for Zhao's organization to hire people. In order not to dampen Shirzong's enthusiasm, he can only be comforted by the title of a senior member. Senior members. Ten hides a disappointed expression on his face. Tiandao did not pay attention to Shirzong's disappointment. At this moment, he turned his head to look at the others and began to arrange the following tasks and actions. Team up with Orochimaru and Scorpion, and team up with Shirzong Yu and Kadoku. Little devil, if you act with me, you need to be careful, otherwise no one else will be blamed. The arrangement of Pain's heavenly way made Jiaodu, who was already silent, suddenly have a cold and eerie gleam in his eyes. This old guy really has a bad temper and is not easy to trust others. Ah, be careful too, old man. If I had a sudden idea, I would have accidentally killed you. Since it was arranged by the Pain heavenly way, it is difficult for Shirzong to say anything in his current position. He responded to Jiaodu's words in a tit-for-tat manner. Jiaodu sneered. And at this moment, I saw that there was such a lack of confrontation between Jiaodu and Shirzong. Looking at the possibility of hurting each other at any moment, Xiaonan couldn't help but look at Tiandao. Why don't we just team up with Shirzong? She suggested. 5. Holding the fertility card in hand, I really want to have a great time on the spot, new book. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Pain Tiandao was a bit surprised. Jiaodu and other members also looked over here one after another. Pain Tiandao instinctively glanced at the corner of his eye and then at Shirzong. Considering what Jiaodu had done before, he finally nodded. It's also good. Xiaonan, then you can team up with Shirzong. As for you. Tiandao looks towards Jiaodu. Before finding a new teammate, to prevent you from killing people recklessly, let me continue to team up with you. Grouping has been completed. Next, the tasks here will be carried out in groups according to their respective groups. Before identifying new members, we must continue to gather more funds in order to proceed with our subsequent plans. After speaking, Pain Tiandao handed several task scrolls to the members of 3 teams. When he handed the scroll in his hand to Xiaonan, Pain Tiandao glanced at Shirzong not far away. This small detail of the body was perfectly visible to Shirzong. Xiaonan, where are we going next? Shirzong walked towards Xiaonan with a smile. The target is located within the territory of the Fire Kingdom, a guy who has been offered a reward of 5 million taels by the black market. Xiaonan opened the task scroll in his hand and calmly introduced it. Is it the land of fire? Upon hearing this, Shirzong's heart moved once again. The look in Pain's eyes just now was a bit intriguing considering that before the meeting just now, Xiaonan and Tiandao had a separate conversation in the secret room. If Shirzong guessed correctly, they actually went to see Yuzhibo and take the soil. That guy is now disguising himself as Yuji Bo Dai Tu and controlling the Shao organization behind the scenes. Many actions, in fact, Pain's heavenly way was only carried out following the instructions of Daitu. I feel a bit embarrassed when I think of this. He guessed that going to the Fire Country to carry out the mission was just a superficial statement. The real task is probably to prepare for the layout of the Nine Tails Night with Soil. Xiaonan didn't tell himself the truth. Was he on guard or was he? But it doesn't matter. Going to Mai is exactly what I want. Shizong sneered in his heart. The target activity area of the task is in the Fire Country, which can also facilitate one's own planning of the next actions, and there is another benefit. Continuing to follow Xiaonan as a team this time can further enhance the relationship between the two. Shizong didn't forget that there was still a fertility card in his backpack. As long as you focus on the target and gaze at the other person, you can make them pregnant. Find a suitable opportunity to use it on Xiaonan. Then, our time is not particularly abundant, everyone go and prepare now, we are about to depart. The voice of Pain Heavenly Tao interrupted Shizong's thoughts. The Land of Fire has a vast area and is completely different from the Land of Rain, which always rains. When he arrived here, the breeze and sunshine were just right, and Xiaonan's mood became relaxed. I talked and laughed with Shizong all the way. Xiaonan, you look really good when you smile. You should laugh more in the future. Always keeping a tight face can easily lead to wrinkles. Shizong carried his big knife like a stick on his shoulder, his gaze casually fixed on Xiaonan beside him. Upon hearing this, Xiaonan immediately put away his smile and looked at him seriously. In front of the leader, don't be so playful and smiling again. This will be considered as being unprofessional. Because during his time in the Kingdom of the Wind, Shizong demonstrated strong strength and saved Xiaonan from the hands of the Red Sand Scorpion. So at this time, Xiaonan also had a very favorable impression of Shizong. Upon hearing Xiaonan's reminder, Shizong's heart twitched slightly. Open the system backpack and take a look at the fertility card. Do you want to use it here? Forget it, let's wait a little longer. Shizong regained his senses and casually changed the topic. Speaking of the Land of Fire, it's really big. We won't encounter the ninjas of Konoha here, will we? At the same time, quietly observing Xiaonan, I found that she was secretly recording something along the way. At this moment, Xiaonan did not answer Shizong's question because she saw a figure walking towards her on the road ahead. Shizong also noticed that guy. This guy looks so familiar. He couldn't help but say something. It's him now. 6. If a bounty giver appears, dare you make gestures. New. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiaonan took out the task scroll and compared it, his eyes instantly turned cold, and an invisible killing intent was released from his body. The big man walking along the road across the street immediately sensed something. He slowly lifted his head and, seeing only two young people, a hint of disdain swept through his eyes. There are several groups of people who want to come and take my head every day. But you two are probably not qualified enough. The other person spoke indifferently. Xiaonan, let me handle this guy. Upon hearing the other person's words, Shizong immediately lowered the large knife that was carried on his shoulder. With a thud. A broken-head knife weighing nearly 100 pounds immediately raised a cloud of dust when it hit the ground. This scene made the big uncle across the street's gaze slightly chilly. Grandpa, I'm in a good mood today. If you're sensible, hurry up and get out of here. Maybe you can still survive. Ah, this uncle has so much nonsense. Shizong picked up his severed head sword again and walked step by step towards the opponent. If you want to die, then you can do it for yourself. The big guy across from him, seeing that he couldn't scare away these two enemies solely through words, had to take the lead. His feet vigorously kicked on the ground, and his huge body immediately took off. In the air, a huge fist clenched tightly and punched Shizong. And his other hand, on the other hand, effortlessly took off a huge sword from his back and vigorously swung it towards Shizo's retreat. This hand arches from left to right, using different moves to deal with it. Not only do all the movements coordinate smoothly, but they also work together in one go. And also completely sealed off the retreat of Shizong. It looks like Shizong has fallen into a disadvantage. Be careful. Xiaonan saw this scene and quickly reminded. But the next second, she saw Shizo's figure disappear into a thick mist. The art of mist hiding. Looking at the sudden appearance of a dense fog in the forest that completely obscured the view, Xiaonan was very surprised. At this moment, in the thick fog, the sound of weapons colliding could be heard. Following that was a continuous groan. After a while, the thick fog that filled a nearby forest gradually dissipated. And Shizong walked back with a bloody severed head knife. This guy doesn't seem to be doing much either. Is he really worth 5 million taels? Xiananji, I feel like it's a bit easy for us to earn this money. Shizong walked back to Xiaonan as if nothing had happened. This guy is a rebellious ninja from Grass-Hidden Ninja Village, and when he was wanted, he was already a special ninja. After years of escape and growth, the strength has already reached the level of Shangren, and being offered a reward of 5 million taels is already considered a relatively low price. When Xiaonan said these words, he also activated his own paper dance, wrapping the corpse on the ground and automatically flying up. The task is completed, should we go back now? Tensang pretended to be careless and casually probed a question. Where is that simple? Xiaonan shook his head and didn't say much, continuing to move forward. There are still a few goals to solve. Judging from what she said, Shizong is 100% certain that they came to the Fire Country, not just to carry out bounty missions. However, Shizong did not expose it and silently followed up. After following Xiaonan to the underground gold exchange to exchange for a bounty. Next, several bounty targets were killed in different places within the territory of the Fire Kingdom. The bounty for these bounty targets is not high, generally ranging from 3 million taels to 8 million taels. However, it is worth noting that 2 of the targets are important figures in the Fire Kingdom. One of the staff members of the Daimyo Prefecture. Therefore, in order to eliminate them, Shizong and Xiaonan had to approach the core area of the Fire Kingdom. At this point, they have penetrated deep into the interior of the Fire Kingdom, intentionally or unintentionally approaching the location of the Kiba Ninja Village. Originally, this was not really a big deal. After all, Shizong is now very clear that Xiaonan must have been instructed by Yuji Bo to take the soil. As for whether there are any other covert arrangements, he has not yet discovered them. However, Shizong himself took this opportunity to have a good understanding of the terrain in the nearby area and silently remembered it in his heart. Now, I can also move easily next. But just as Shizong and Xiaonan completed all the bounty missions and the reconnaissance operation was nearing its end, they encountered trouble as they were preparing to leave the Fire Country. 10 treasures. Xiaonan, walking side by side with Shizong, suddenly stopped and whispered a reminder. Ah! I know. A group of troublesome guys are catching up. Shizong turned around with a severed head knife and looked at the empty primitive forest. At first glance, I didn't notice anything, and the forest was also quiet, as if there were no abnormalities at all. But for Shizong and Xiaonan, they had already sensed movements that ordinary people wouldn't notice. Xiaonan, you go first, I'll cut off the rest. Shizong decisively proposed this suggestion. If you want to leave, let's go together. Xiaonan didn't say much, he directly used the dance of paper, with a large amount of white paper scattered in all directions. In the end, they all disguised themselves as the branches of primitive giant trees in all directions. This time, the trap of the detonator is considered complete. As long as the enemy steps into this trap, they will be shattered and never come back. 7. Anger opens a kaleidoscope, and in the dark, you are the singer, New. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Shizong remembered the scene in the original work where Xiao Nan used 600 billion detonating symbols to deal with Daitu, and immediately felt really exciting. However, he seemed too happy too early. Just after Xiao Nan completed the deployment of the detonating talisman trap, suddenly a distant shot from the forest ahead came out of nowhere. These hardships are like eyes growing, exploding with a continuous bang. The detonating symbol trap carefully deployed by Xiao Nan was easily cracked. 10 treasures, retreat. Xiao Nan's eyes were slightly cold, and he loudly reminded. Unfortunately, it was one step too late, and more Ku was shot towards Shizong and Xiao Nan. Even countless swords flew out of the trees on both sides. Xiao Nan flew into the sky, while Shizong directly used the hydration technique to make his body completely immune to these attacks. Xiao Nanjie. Let's go first. Shizong once again reminded Xiao Nan to retreat quickly and let himself cut off the rear. At this point, Xiao Nan had already seen the number of enemies in the air, all from the dark side of Muyi. A total of 4 teams, 12 people, are surrounding them from all directions. Shizong, you retreat, I'll cut off the rear. Xiao Nan saw so many enemies and was worried that Shizong might not be able to handle them alone. He frowned and said to Shizong. Her own words were fine, even if the enemies surrounded her, she could easily escape with the ability of the paper dance. Xiao Nan, staying here will distract me. Now is not the time to hesitate. 10 hidden words reminded Xiao Nan. She thought of the task entrusted to her by Yuzhibo to lead the earth. Looking down again, Konoha's ninja noticed them. There must be more than just this wave of dark forces coming here. If we get trapped here, maybe neither of us can leave. Shizong. Be careful of yourself. I'm waiting for you at the border. After finishing speaking, Xiao Nan took a deep and reluctant glance at Shizong. Upon hearing Xiao Nan's reluctant words of concern, Shizong's heart moved. It seems it's time. He decisively took out the fertility card from the system backpack and used it directly. Then he looked up and focused his gaze on Xiao Nan. Ding! The pregnancy card has been successfully used. Target Xiao Nan, successfully conceived. Ding! Congratulations on receiving the system reward. Children's Gift Pack *1. Please check it in the system backpack. Shizong withdrew his gaze as he watched Xiao Nan leave, jumped into a tree, and avoided shooting again. The second wave of suffering is nothing. Immediately, his eyes turned cold and he calmly opened the system backpack, taking out the large gift package he had just received. Ding! Do you want to use? Successfully used. Congratulations on receiving rewards. Healing Potion *1, Kaleidoscope Writing Will I. Healing Potion. After use, it can instantly heal any injury or disease, achieving a resurrection effect. Let's not talk about healing potions for now. The system prompt had just ended, and in an instant, Shizong felt a warm current in his eyes. The warm current quickly dissipated, and the chakra that surged out became larger and more turbulent. In an instant, the special chakra of the Kaleidoscope Sharingan spread throughout the body. Just like these eyes, he has been awakened for decades. Is this the power of Uchiha? Shizong calmly looked up towards the front and surroundings. The dark forces from Kiba have all caught up and are now surrounding him in groups. From the face masks, it can be seen that these people come from the Root organization. Are you the one who killed the staff of the Daming Mansion? One of the guys, who looked like a captain, stared at Shizo coldly and asked. Captain, the other guy has escaped. The team members around reminded me. Hehe, I won't let you continue chasing. Shizong lowered the severed head sword from his shoulder and lifted it to point at the enemy on the opposite side. Take this first before we talk. The captain on the opposite side made a decisive decision and waved his hand to signal all team members to concentrate their firepower and clean up 10 Hades first. But at this moment, Shizong's eyes changed and became the shape of a kaleidoscope writing Will I. That's writing will eyes. The dark side of these root organizations immediately realized something was amiss. However, it was already late, and Shizong activated the Flying Thunder God technique, combined with the newly obtained Kaleidoscope Sharingan. A preemptive attack was launched against these enemies. Secret technique. Flying Thunder God Slash. In an instant, the figure passed by every enemy's side. After finally circling around, Shizong fell back to his previous position. And the secret forces of the 12 root organizations, without even uttering a word, collapsed one after another, completely losing their breath. After dealing with the members of the root organization chasing after them, Shizong did not leave directly. He checked and found a confidential document from these enemies. Combining with the opponent's questioning just now, I asked if I had killed the staff of the Daming Mansion. Shizong confirmed that they had only received a commission from the Daimyo Prefecture of the Fire Kingdom to pursue and kill the murderer of important figures in the Fire Kingdom. Although it seems that we haven't discovered our true purpose. Shizong stood up and jumped into the tree, gazing into the distance. This place is only a few dozen kilometers away from my. Since everyone has come, of course, we need to go and take a look at everything. In addition to further reconnaissance of the terrain for preliminary reconnaissance, Shizong now also wants to personally confirm. How long before Vortex Juxinai will give birth? Thinking of his figure flashing, he disappeared in place. 8. Cadian appears, immersed in the darkness of a kaleidoscope. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Kiba Ninja Village, Hokage Office. 3 generations of adults. Kakashi appeared in front of Ape Flying Sun / and Wave Wind Water Gate. Just received the news that the people at the route have intercepted the letter passing from Daming Prefecture. After confirmation, the content is about the murder of a staff member of the Daimyo Prefecture and the request for assistance from Kiba. Did Tuanzang send someone to intercept the letter? Upon hearing these words, Ape Flying Sun/'s eyes sank instantly and slowly picked up his pipe to ponder. 3rd generation adults, do you need me to come over personally? Shuemen turned to look at him and asked. After taking a puff of smoke, Monkey Flying Sun/ turned his head and looked over. It's probably not that simple for Tuanzang to send people to intercept the letters of request for help from the Daming Prefecture. If the staff of the Daming Mansion are killed, and the members of the root organization successfully pursue the killer before you, who will soon become the 4th generation Hokage, it will be a significant blow to your reputation. I'm afraid there may also be some objections from the Daming Mansion. The words of the Monkey Flying Sun/ are like a reminder to Shuemen that they can personally go and pursue the enemy. I understand, 3 generations of adults. So I'll go out once. After Shuemen finished speaking, Brick looked at Kakashi, who is now in the dark, and said, do you have detailed information about the enemy? At present, there is none, but we have discovered the direction of the secret movements of the people from the root organization. Kakashi revealed the clues found in the investigation of the dark side come out. I'll be back soon. Shuemen nodded and then activated the Flying Thunder God to disappear. Kakashi, go back and look at Juxina. Now is a special period, don't take it lightly. The Monkey Flying Sun/ commanded Kakashi, who was still half kneeling on the ground. I understand. After speaking, Kakashi disappeared without a trace. Kakashi crouched on the roof, vigilantly watching the village of Konoha ninjas under the darkness. In the room, there is Juxina, who is holding her pregnant belly and raising her baby. At this moment, Kushina in the room was chatting to herself with Naruto in her belly. Kakashi was listening attentively, feeling calm and gentle inside. But at that moment, a young voice suddenly sounded from near him. It's really hard to find here, the Konoha ninja village is really big. What kind of person? Kakashi jumped up vigilantly, looking in disbelief at the location where the sound came from. I happened to see a figure carrying a big knife, as if a ghost had appeared before me. Seeing the sudden appearance of Shirzong, Kakashi's pupils shrank slightly, and his subordinates consciously began to condense electric currents. "Who are you?" He was uncertain and uncertain, staring intently at Shirzong's every move. It seems that as long as Tensang makes any move, it will inevitably attract Kakashi's thunderous thousand-bird attack. Oh. There's actually someone here. Tensang recognized Kakashi at a glance, and he was too lazy to talk nonsense. He directly opened the kaleidoscope, writing, "Will I?" "Those eyes are. Are you from the Uchiha clan?" Kakashi was immediately shocked to see Tenzo's eyes transform into a kaleidoscope shape. But the next second, he trembled lightly all over. Monthly reading. Go. My body can't move anymore. A few cold sweats slid down her cheeks, and Kakashi's pupils kept flickering and jumping. I can't believe that I was subdued by my opponent's illusion just by a face-to-face encounter. I didn't even have time to open my writing wheel. Is this the difference between Yujibwa and Yujibwa? Kakashi watched as Shirzong walked towards him step by step, feeling a hint of fear in his heart. The Wave-Wind Water Gate used the technique of the Flying Thunder God and followed the clues provided by Kakashi to track and leave the village along the way. In no time, he had already arrived at the battlefield, but immediately frowned. A strong smell of blood permeated the dark forest. This situation is not good. Sure enough, Watergate continued to walk a distance and saw the 12 members of the Root organization who had been killed. All of them were killed in one blow, and there wasn't even a trace of resistance visible at the scene. It seems that the enemy's attack speed is very fast. And the strength is very strong. Watergate did not easily touch those corpses. Set traps on the bodies of enemy ninjas, and even bury explosive talismans around them. He has encountered many such things. Despite just a casual glance, Watergate quickly obtained these judgments. There are not many enemies who can instantly kill 12 members of the Root organization's secret forces. He quickly searched around and didn't find any more clues. I suddenly felt even worse in my heart. Hurry up and go back to Mai to see the situation. Worried about the safety of the village, Shui Men made a decisive decision and quickly used the technique of Flying Thunder God to leave. As for the bodies of those members of the Root organization, he had already noticed them on his way over. Tuanzang arranged for several other teams to come and pick them up. They will arrive here soon, and they will naturally collect these corpses. 9. It's really strange, it's actually Lowly Sunset read, new book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shirzong originally thought that the leaves of wood in this period should be stronger. After all, besides Gangsho, Zilai is still among the leaves of wood. Bo Feng Shui Men is about to become the 4th generation Hokage. But only when I truly infiltrated did I realize that the so-called strongest guarding force of the ninja village. That's exactly what happened. The anti-invasion barrier deployed by the village is completely ineffective for time and space ninjutsu. Except for a few high-end combat capabilities, the remaining ordinary ninjas posed no threat to themselves. The guards patrolling the Uchiha security forces were almost unable to even discover their whereabouts. Although it cannot be said that it is completely like entering an uninhabited realm, after all, at the last moment, Shirzong was still detected by Kakashi. This does not mean that Kakashi is too weak. Just Kakashi's current strength, facing the power of a kaleidoscope for the first time. It is only natural for the illusion technique to be subdued, as it was once again caught off guard by Shirzong. Shirzong did not go to kill Kakashi, but left after confirming the situation of Juxina. Juxinai will give birth in less than a month. Time may not be particularly abundant, but it's still good enough to prepare for oneself. However, Shirzong did not take action against Juxina in advance to snatch her away. At present, Juxinai is not weak at all, and its own strength is very strong. The unique sealing technique of the Vortex clan, Vajra Blockade, can easily suppress even the Nine Tails. In this situation, it is impossible to kidnap her without realizing it. If it startles the Feng Shui Gate and other strong figures in the village. Once entangled in a difficult battle, it may be very troublesome. After leaving Shuiman's home, Shizong first went to Yao Lamian Noodles restaurant to have a Lamian noodles. It feels average, not as delicious as it looks on TV. Afterwards, he wandered around the village a few more times. Basically, the environment and overall layout of the entire Wooden Leaf are fully familiar and mastered. When preparing to leave the village and rush to meet Xiaonan, Shizong found himself being tracked. Although the other party is already very cautious, it can be seen that the movements are still quite clumsy and not related to the master. On this quiet and secluded path, it is impossible to hide one's tracks. Come out now. Shizong stopped in his tracks without looking back. Carrying a severed head knife, he coldly shouted. With a whoosh, a graceful figure immediately jumped out of the corner behind him. Arrived about 10 meters behind Shizong. Shizong glanced at her with a hint of surprise in his eyes. The tracker in front of me is a girl, about 14 or 15 years old. The reason why he was surprised was not because of this, but because Tenzo recognized the other person's identity. Although there are obvious differences in temperament, age, and other aspects between her and the mature senior sister in the future. But this girl is clearly a Knight Red. You're not a ninja of Kiba, are you? Shi Rihong looked at Shizong in front of her, with no hint of coldness flashing in her hand. Oh, not really. Shizong nodded. A playful sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect to meet Shi Rihong here, and this woman who doesn't know the height of the earth dared to follow me alone. This reminded Shizong of the scene in the original work where during the outbreak of the Nine Tails Rebellion, Yuriko, who was protected in the barrier with others, was extremely excited and wanted to participate in the battle. For a moment, I didn't know whether to say she was brave or reckless. It's exactly the same. Shizong laughed thought-provoking again. Since it's not a ninja from Konoha, it's an intruder. Be honest and take it easy. Shi Rihong still doesn't know who she is facing. His gaze was sharp as he stared at Shizong, and after speaking, he grabbed onto Kowu and rushed forward. At the same time, she had already prepared the illusion and chakra was in place. Prepare to use Kowu to distract Shizong's attention, then use illusion to control Shizong and subdue him and capture him. But with this set of plans in place, I didn't wait for Shi Rihong to release her suffering. Suddenly, I saw that the target had disappeared in place. The next second, Shi Rihong's whole body trembled lightly, and she stopped on the spot as if her whole body had been petrified. The sharp knife was now pressing against her throat. And Shizong was like a ghost, unaware that the ghost had already arrived behind Zirihong, twisting her left hand behind her with one hand. Do you dare to track me at this level? Are you not afraid of death? Shizong smiled and said. Okay, so strong. Cold sweat spread all over her rosy cheeks, and she finally realized what kind of terrifying guy she had provoked. But before Shi Rihong could speak again, a huge force suddenly came from her neck. Affected by a heavy blow, blood flow was blocked, and Shi Rihong fainted on the spot with two black eyes. At this moment, a system prompt sound came to Shizong's mind. Ding! Congratulations on receiving the Wife and Concubine Group Gift Pack *1. Please check it in your backpack. Shizong. How many meanings do you mean? Upon hearing the sound of the system in his mind, Shizong froze. Anyway, let's leave here first. Glancing left and right, no one else noticed that Shizong picked up the unconscious Zirihong and disappeared in place. 10. Favorite cards, reduce negative impressions by 100% immediately. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Unexpectedly encountering Shi Rihong, Shizong decisively knocked her unconscious. Originally, it was to prevent the other party from calling for support and alerting the other strong ones in Konoha. I didn't expect to receive a large gift package for my wife and concubines as a result. He didn't have time to check the reward content of the gift package. Along the way, Tenzang used the Flying Thunder God's technique to easily break through the barrier of the wood leaf again. We have quickly arrived at the border area of the Fire Kingdom. At the same time, in the village of Kiba. Because the bodies of members of the root organization were found, but the perpetrators were not found, Shui Men rushed back due to concerns about the safety of the village. Upon returning to his doorstep, he realized that his illusion was still like a statue of Kakashi standing on the roof. "What's going on, Kakashi?" Shui Men jumped onto the roof in disbelief and quickly untied the illusion on Kakashi's body. "Teacher Shui Men." Kakashi felt as if he had experienced countless battles, exhausted and lying on the ground. Then he explained his previous experience in detail. Upon hearing his words, Shuimen's face changed once again and he quickly returned to his room. After confirming that Juxina had not been harmed in any way, he finally felt relieved. "Kakashi, have you seen that person's appearance clearly?" "Sorry, Teacher Watergate, he disguised himself with a dark animal mask at the time. But what can be certain is that he is never a member of the Dark or Root organization. That chakra breath is very unfamiliar, listen to the sound, I shouldn't be over 20 years old. And his eyes. Think of those kaleidoscopes that instantly trapped me in the golden binding illusion, completely immobile." Kakashi felt lingering palpitations and said, "Those eyes are Sharingan. Riding Will eyes. Yes, there can be no mistake, I can never forget that power." "Kakashi, so you're suspecting that the enemy is from the Uchiha clan?" After listening to Kakashi's description of the enemy's characteristics, Shuimen's eyes immediately became solemn. The relationship between the Uchiha clan and Kiba has been deteriorating recently. At this sensitive moment, a suspected member of the Uchiha clan came to spy on Juxina's situation. This matter suddenly became very serious. More importantly, after the enemy arrived, they subdued Kakashi. But he did not harm anyone, let alone Juxina and the child in his belly. If the enemy outside the village infiltrated why would they do nothing? Shui Men frowned as he pinched his chin and thought quickly, his face becoming more serious as he thought. At this moment, Kakashi also continued to speak. "Teacher Shui Men, the Sharingan is a unique bloodline boundary of the Uchiha clan, which ordinary people cannot possess." Faced with Watergate's inquiry, Kakashi answered truthfully. "I understand. Kakashi, you stay to protect Kushina. The matter is too serious and must be treated with caution. Although all the current evidence seems to point to the Uchiha clan. But at this moment, Shui Men dare not make a hasty decision on its own." After giving Kakashi a warning, Shui Men dodged and left for the Hokage office. "I have reported this matter to the third-generation Hokage Monkey Flying Sun Slayer and plan to make a decision in the long run." After Shizong kidnapped Zirihong, he didn't rush to meet Xiaonan, but instead took her to a cave. This place is located in the deep mountains and old forests, with few human traces, and was one of the secret contact points used by the organization. But it has already been abandoned this morning. When she arrived, Shirihong was still in a coma and had not woken up. Looking at the charming beauty, Shizong shook his head helplessly and said, "Unfortunately, the fertility card has already been used by Xiaonan." Suddenly, he remembered the big gift package he had received before and quickly opened the system backpack. Ding! Do you use large gift packages for wives and concubines in groups? Successfully used. Congratulations on receiving rewards. 100% favorite card *1, pregnancy card *1. Favorite card. Using it against any target can erase all negative memories of the target towards the user, making the other person have a 100% positive impression of themselves, and it is definitely successful and permanently effective.